It all started as I left Medina, headed for a place called Kufa. The ride was long and the distance so far, but a few days later we are stopped and I see we are blocked midway by a huge army. Their screams and voices make me feel scared, but my tent with my father is shared. He fills me with peace and joy. Any fears of mine he does destroy. So we set up camp in this place called Karbala. All I could see in front were men. They walked confidently near our lion's den. However, our supplies began to run short. Enemies grew, and hunger we knew. The children's eyes became dull, devoid of light. Those days playing in Masjid Nabi, no longer in sight. Infants and children not spared in this fight. No lullabies, but cries of the kids filled the night. How have things changed so much? All I want are the old times, where we would smile, laugh, and sing nursery rhymes. My friends, what were their crimes? Some hungry, others cold and thirsty. But then, on Muharram 9, as it was, things were far from fine. Then my dear uncle came with a lion. Martyrdom approaches, organized the front line. The children were now shaken to their core. They would not see their fathers anymore. Baba spent his final night in prostration, my uncle sharpening his sword in anticipation, Habib in deep contemplation, John doing of God glorification. The thought of never seeing my family tore my heart out. I realized this is the test of being devout. So, as I see the approach of dawn, having not let out a single yawn, the whole night I spent, my blurry eyes on my father drawn. So as the sun lights up the sky with full scope, it put out the flame of my dying hope. The sun rose in the desert, but only brought down on me hurt. I heard my brother Akbar's cry, to come and Allah glorify. The last azan from my brother, he would not survive to call another. The children sat and watched the soldiers' farewell. We watched and prayed for all to go well. There was hope that few may defeat the many, but after the first wave stood not a single body. My father's closest friends rode out under the sun's burning cover, but never to return, and each time my father would arrive to pick up the bodies he had no drive, as it became clear that none of his best were left alive. With each companion his face grew old, his expression withered and cold, his closest trustees and many a friend, for my father their lives they did lend. My stomach churned to see my father in such a state, and I sat by sobbing. There was nothing I could do to change fate. Then Ali Akbar my brother strode out tall and brave. The permission of my father he did crave. Embracing him tight, Baba, permission he gave. It tore his heart in two, yet of Allah's pleasure he knew. When Ali Akbar they did slaughter, they snatched away the light from my father. How could he make his way any further? So as they took away his light, they darkened my life in the same right. All my crying had left me tired and thirsty, and I had an idea who to go to firstly. To my uncle who had always showed me such mercy. He always quenched my worry, of his name Abbas so worthy. As I asked him with lips cracked, right then he started to act. He immediately made a pact. His satchel he then strapped, his headband for war he wrapped. Nothing him from water could distract. Weapons he stacked, with my request he was backed. He came and sat before me, he put me on his lap, and for a moment I looked into his eye, and all those years of love flashed by, riding horses together, him telling me stories. So as he rode out, my eyes remained glued to the majestic flag I had just about viewed. It remained high till I saw him reach the Farat. It rose once more as he came back, and I felt this hope. All he had to do was get past this last slope, and all of a sudden it was as if time stopped. The cup out of my hands dropped. At my ribs my heart knocked. The flag fell, but it raised once more. Yet a little lower I saw. Once more I stood shocked. The flag now began to rock. My sight was now locked. As I saw the flag fall, for my dearest I did call, Uncle, leave the water, just come back to me from this slaughter. Till this day, I never know why, to his body I never got to say goodbye. His remains were never brought before my eye, if only my request he did deny. Then it dawned on me, who was left? None to defend the Prophet's grandson from the right or left. It became as I guessed, as I found my father for martyrdom dressed. I entered his tent and asked, Baba, are you sure that you are the last? Is there no one else in this land so vast? He held me in his arms and replied, there are so very few in the earth so wide who for truth and justice will fight. There are so very few who will defend the right. Out of all those then in my sight, it made me sick that no one saw the light. I realized how much my grandfather, Ali, they did spite. My father they come and try and slaughter in daylight. As he came to me, he held me in his strong arms one final time. But where would these arms be at my next bedtime? He waved back to me, to the battlefield going. I couldn't stop my tears from flowing, knowing I can't help but to him go toward. There's something that can't be ignored. To lose his love I can't afford. I walk after his sword. If my father is to die, I'll go in accord. He slowly turns around and lowers his head. This is his last test, to come see me of his stead. To stay and not leave my life empty, I plead. And I saw how hard it was for him to me leave. How was it fair he had to die for Yazid's greed? The ground began to shake a time on. Blood I found under every stone. It was as if the clouds began to moan. The stars in the sky crashed and were blown. All natural order seemed to be thrown. And then I saw. It haunts me still, to see lying still, my father alone, being struck with a stone. Arrows plenty, in his chest 20, they break his teeth. Arrows beneath, a bed they form, of blood there's a storm, face filled with red, everywhere he bled, others scared to tread, the lion inspiring dread, lying nearly dead, painfully wheezing, broken ribs once more, first the mother, now the son, how long will it go on? One comes ahead, it seems he wants to behead the ship of salvation, the leader of the nation. I see when I now rest, shimmer kicking the chest, throwing stones the rest. I see the beard grabbed, I see the rib stabbed, I see the body dragged. And as he dies, he turns slightly, looking to me. Imagine that scene, a father and his queen. Then red I had seen. The dagger comes down, the warmth replaced with cold. And then what do I see? Taking the head is Kholi. It stays in my mind, that last moment I can never leave behind, when our eyes aligned and he left me behind, empty, broken, confined. I see, I saw, and now I'm blind. I see, I saw, and now I'm blind.